Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 27th episode of the OK Listen Here Roundtable. It is your Monday night recording, which means we are going to be talking about some NASCAR. I am your host, Austin Haywood, and of course, as usual, I am joined by the greatest voice in sports that I know of, Mr. Philip Pilkington in the flesh himself, whose Boston Celtics are up 2-0 on the Dallas Mavericks. Philip, I know you're feeling good this week, but how are we feeling? How are we feeling after Sonoma?
Um, Feeling like it was arguably the best race of the year. Obviously, the Atlanta race was the most entertaining, but super speedway racing is controlled chaos, whereas this was a true race. You had two different strategies, and it was a matter of the best guy on strategy A, was he going to beat the best guy on strategy B? And it was very racy throughout the pack, despite only really two big passing zones and a lot of cautions. So I'm feeling good. Um, Feeling like it was a fun weekend of road course racing, and I'm excited for Iowa. I've been asking for many years for the Cup Series to go to Iowa, and it's finally here. We're just 6 days away.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later on, but yeah, it's kind of shocked to see them put a track on the schedule that we haven't been to yet. So I'm very curious to see how this pans out, and hopefully it's a good race for everyone involved. So I think we don't have a lot of weekly news coming out of this week, really, and so we kind of just have a few things to discuss here on our topic board. But I think it's that time of year where it seems appropriate to discuss: will Martin Truex return for 2025? I feel like we went through this last year, thinking he might retire at the end of the season if he doesn't get one under his belt. But at this point in the season, do we? We've seen it online. Do you think Martin Truex is coming back next year?
I don't know. Last year we were seeing it, but he was all of a sudden performing back to 2017 Martin Truex Jr.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, why go out when you're still very much competitive? Right now he sits fifth in the points. He's only 53 points behind Kyle Larson for the regular season title. So, he's still very much competitive. It's hard to say. It's one of those things where every situation is different. He doesn't have kids. Don't believe he's married. I did see a young woman with him
Yeah, I
during
know
the
he's dating
national anthem.
somebody.
Yeah, I don't know how serious that is or isn't. Um, so it all comes down to Martin. I'm sure, Coach Gibbs will have him back. I'm sure Bass Pro Shop, who's been a big supporter of his for so long, would still be very much part of the team. So I don't think either one of those are the issues. It comes down to him. And, you've seen guys like Mark Martin who never seem to retire. And then you got guys like Eric Almirola who hang him up maybe a little earlier than people expected. But it's all personal preference. And, right now, I think there was a time 3, 4 years ago where Martin had a lot going on in his life and it was affecting his on the track performance. And then, Cole Pern had to kind of resign in the middle of the season because he was Canadian and they weren't allowing Canadians into the United States during COVID. So he jumps over to James Small, and they took a while to kind of get to know each other from a driver crew chief standpoint. And so they struggled. So there was that. And now it seems that he and James Small have, you know, kind of rekindled the chemistry that he and Cole Pern had. So I'm gonna go no. I just think I think things are going well. I don't think there's a reason to not keep going, but there maybe is, and that's really what it comes down to with him. Is he doesn't have to have a reason to keep going. I think he does keep going until there's a reason not to, and I don't see one. But obviously, I don't know Martin on a personal level, and maybe he is ready to hang him up. I'm not sure.
Yeah, taking a look, I mean, he is the oldest, Cup Series driver at the moment at a whopping 43 years old. But hey, I mean, we've seen some people like Morgan Shepherd racing at 72 years old before. Like it's, NASCAR's seen a lot of drivers that have started their careers, I mean, at the Cup level in their 40s and, still able to win races in the 50s. So I mean, like you said, he's competing at a high level. He currently sits fifth in points. He has 4 top 5s, 7 top 10s this season. Has led a ton of laps, 447 so far. Unfortunately, just hasn't had a win quite yet this season. So, to your point, it kind of his personal preference. He can continue racing at a very high level, and just I don't know. I feel like this is just a good, fun little tidbit that we get into every single year. Just seeing being as old as he is, how long does he last? And I guess you kind of answered the question there, but it's really personal preference. So for right now, I guess we can hop off the train that he is not retiring at the end of this year. He'll return to Joe Gibbs. And of course, NASCAR, they don't tell us how long their contracts are with their drivers for whatever reason. I think that's half the fun watching, the NBA and the NFL is knowing for how long and for how much. And we don't get that in NASCAR. So who knows? Who's to say? But dude's an old fart, and hopefully we'll see him behind the wheel next season. He was at one point my favorite driver. So, that's pretty much all I got to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he's back. I really do. I think Toyota's already gonna have to fill a spot next year. Now that it sounds like 2311 is getting a charter, and not that they don't have some guys. They got Chandler Smith. There's a rumor that Corey Heim's going to be the guy who gets that spot at 2311 next year. So,
What's your
they couldn't fill.
What's your source there?
I can't remember who I heard say that, but I think like Pockers or Gluck or somebody tweeted it out, or I asked one of them or something that said that's what it seems like that Toyota is leaning to. But I don't quote me on that. You know, I don't know. Like I said, I would like to see him return. I think Martin's a great guy. I think he's good for the sport. He's not the guy who's going to bring in casual fans, but I think he's well liked. He's well respected. You mentioned he was your favorite driver at one time, and he was my dad's favorite driver right now, and somebody I always liked. I remember being so pumped for him in that 2017 season that he had gotten up there and won a championship. Obviously, I knew my guy wasn't going to win a championship that year with him only being a rookie, so didn't really have much to worry about there. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's only time will tell, I guess, but I would love to see him back.
Yeah, pretty consistent contender for the title. How many does he? He only has one under his belt. Is that okay? Yeah, that's correct. Sorry, I got a thing. If you're on the YouTube channel, if you see me looking over here, I have all the Cup Series champions from 65 to 19. So, but yeah, I knew
there you go.
One. Yeah, I know, it's awesome.
Why does it only go back to 65?
I couldn't tell you. Here you go.
Okay.
For the YouTube, there you go. Sorry, I know this is terrible podcasting.
I'm not even. I didn't even see it. I was looking at another sheet. Show it again.
Here you go.
There you go.
Yeah, that's my cheat sheet right there. Oh yeah, take a look. Take a look at the room. This will be a nursery before long, people. But yeah, I remember sitting there. I think it was that 2017 season when he was competing against Kyle Busch real hard in the 600. The Austin Dillon won. Yeah, just a fan favorite, and of course, it would kind of suck to have a race on a Monday and not have Monday Martin show out. So I don't know. We can sit here and talk about this all night long, but I think the bigger topic that we want to discuss is kind of the rest of the season, how it's playing out, playoffs, and how it looks right now. So taking a look at the schedule for the rest of this year. Finally, Fox is done for the season. Let's all just take a deep, good breath in, exhale out. All is good. Fox is done. From now on, it's going to be on, NBC, USA, all that fun stuff. So moving forward, we've got Iowa, which is the first time NASCAR's been there. We'll get into it later, but we have Iowa, New Hampshire, Nashville, which I'll be at, the Chicago Street Race, Pocono, Indy, Richmond, Michigan, Daytona, and then Darlington. And then, of course, we get into playoffs. And so looking at these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 more races left in the season. We're looking at who's won a race so far this year. I'm trying to go back and forth a little bit. But
we got 9 winners.
Yeah, so 9 different winners. And we're definitely going to get some repeats in there, so we're not going to fill out the entire playoff field with just winners. I don't see that happening. Do you agree with that, disagree with that?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, you got 10 races left. You got 7 playoff spots left. I don't think you have 7 different guys, at least 7 different full-time guys win. I mean, obviously you got the Chicago Street Race. So could there be a wild card full-time driver?
Mm-hmm.
Michael McDowell, Daniel Suarez. Well, Daniel Suarez in the playoffs. Never mind. Forget I said that. Michael McDowell? Sure, you could. But also, what if Dinger wins? What if SVG wins? So those guys would, it would almost punt a race, and it would just pretty much be the same as a repeat winner. Same thing with the we still no the dang it, that is the only regular season road course left. That's crazy. They put Watkins going in the playoffs. But so there's that. And then, other than that, I think we should always see full time cup drivers. So it's just a matter of how quickly you can land new winners. In just these next few weeks, man, I just don't see. I mean, I'm not going to say there's no new winners winning because, there's plenty of big time names right now that don't
Mm-hmm.
have wins. Kyle Busch, Joey Logano. Um, I'm sure I'm missing somebody. But, I could see one of those guys winning. Joey Logano does tend to win at new tracks the first time we go there. So obviously, with us going to Iowa, that could be a thing. But still, Nashville, New Hampshire. I mean, these are races, Pocono, Indianapolis, that you would expect your normal players to come in there and win. So um, I don't see it happening. I think we maybe get to 12 or 13 winners. Obviously, Busher still doesn't have a win. That's one of the other guys, but um, I'm thinking we're still looking at 3 to 4 playoff spots that are solely off points.
And so, with that being said, you said we'll probably have like 3 or 4 more winners, maybe two to four more winners. So, if you had to pick 4 guys right off the bat, right now that don't currently have wins, who do you see looking at the next few races? Who do you see winning? I think.
I mean, Monday Martin, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Kyle Busch
No
would be
Ty
the four.
Gibbs?
I mean, I'm not saying he's not going to win, but if you're asking me to only pick four,
Because.
and I know he's been more consistent than some of these other guys, but
Mm-hmm.
you're asking them to win one race, not be consistent over 10 races. And we're going to some of these tracks where, some of those guys I just named who maybe are below the cut line, Kyle Busch and
Mm-hmm.
Joey Logano, have been very, very good. Some of those tracks, they have multiple wins. All they need is one good week. There's some short tracks in there. Yeah, they haven't shown a lot of speed on the intermediates, but we're getting into that area where you've got the New Hampshires and the Iowas. You still have another Richmond race. Yeah, I mean, those are kind of the guys. And then that next tier would be Ty Gibbs, Ross Chastain, Chris Buescher, Alex Bowman, Bubba Wallace.
Yeah, I'm kind of taking a look. Like I do see. We've been saying it all year long. Ty Gibbs, he is eventually going to get himself one. So I'm still very, very high on him. Another guy, like I mean, I had him as my preseason champion, and I still have him this high. I'm still very high on Chris Buescher. I still think he could pull it through and peak at the right time. So those 2 guys right there are 2 guys that I'm not completely counting out. I think that is, I think if there's any 2 that are going to get themselves a win this season and get their way into playoffs, if nobody else, it's those 2. But then looking at the rest that don't currently have wins, obviously you have guys like Martin Truex Jr. who, generally speaking, are just automatic. And then, like you said, we have Joey Logano and Kyle Busch as well that just they don't they don't go a season without a win. So there's a few guys just kind of to clump in there on who I think could get in. And then as far as getting the points in, I mean, Ross Chastain is right there. Doesn't have a win, but is pretty high in points anyways. If Ty Gibbs doesn't get himself a win, I see him pointing his way in also. And then, I mean, again, I know it's easy to say because these are the first 3 guys that had the most points without a win, but then Martin Truex as well. So Truex, Gibbs, and Chastain, they're all right there. But like I said, I'm sure one of those 3 will win over the next 10 races.
So here's the thing: there's 7 playoff spots left. I'm going to name you 9 drivers. I want to predict who's going to miss the playoffs, and
Okay.
there are currently 9 drivers that are top 16 in points,
Okay.
but right now, because of 2 playoff points positions being stolen,
Mm-hmm.
2 of these guys would be out as of now. Right now, it's Joey Logano and Kyle Busch. But
Yes.
between Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, Chris Buescher, Ryan Blaney, Alex Bowman, Ross Chastain, Ty Gibbs, and Martin Truex Jr., 2 of those, at least, are going to miss the playoffs unless we have some crazy number of winners, which I don't see happening.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think right now, as it stands, is top 16 in points but will not make the playoffs?
You know, being a Bubba Wallace fan, I will have to sit here and I'll have to count him as one of those two. And just,
I agree.
yeah, just because he's been right there on the bubble every year and it can't go his way every single year. Unless he gets himself a win, I think he's one of those that falls below the cut line. Now, I'm looking at Kyle Busch and Joey Logano who haven't had phenomenal seasons. Now, granted, they're right there on the bubble, so whatever. Um, but quite honestly, and like I don't say this to be a homer. I understand I'm a Stenhouse fan, so take this how you will. But quite honestly, I just don't think Kyle Busch right now has a mentality to go and compete in playoffs. Even if he does make playoffs, it's going to be out in the round of 16. He just based off the comments that he's made about him sucking, about the equipment not being the same, all this fun stuff that he's blurting out there. I think Kyle Busch is one that doesn't make it as well. Now, there is kind of the side of me that also wants to throw Alex Bowman under that cut line, but he's currently sitting in 13th. There's three guys above the cut line that are, that have less points than him. So I don't know. But my two safe bets right now are Bubba Wallace and Kyle Busch.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. Kyle's 8 points ahead of Joey, but it is a mindset thing. And, I think if Joey doesn't get caught up in that wreck this past week, good chance he wins the race.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think Joey's attitude after he won the All Star race seemed very much like he feels like he can win a championship
Yeah.
still this year. Just by his interview, he laughed. He goes, "Well, it'd be nice to get one of these in the points, but hey, we'll take them any way we can get them." I mean, he really seems like the same Joey Logano, despite being below the cut line right now. And yeah, to your point, I don't know if Rowdy does. Bubba,
I think Bubba's hungry. Like he's hungry to get in, and I think he's got the right mentality for it. But again, like I said, he sits there in that 16th position, 16th, 15th position. Just barely. I mean, last year he just barely made it over the cut line, and it's like unless he picks something up. I mean, I'm taking a look here. He's got a few top fives. He's got 3 top fives and a few top tens, but like how long can he maintain that and still be above the cut line? You can't be mediocre and maintain a position as a playoff contender. And so I think Joey Logano, like you bring up a really good point about the All-Star race and kind of a switch cutting on him. And I think interestingly enough, we're sitting here talking about a Toyota and a Chevy coming out after the Fords have been underperforming all season long. But I mean, I understand how important equipment is, but I think, like I said, Chris Buescher's still my guy to win it all. And then Joey Logano, like I said, you bring up a really good point about the All-Star race and his mindset shifting. So I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. And so, my question to you: so we have our two guys that just barely make the playoffs, first two out. But are there any long shots that you see that are currently below the playoff cutoff that you think could potentially get a win or point their way into the playoffs this year?
well, pretty much mathematically, other than obviously Kyle and Joey,
Mm-hmm.
the only guy who's going to stand a chance really to point his way at this point is Chase Briscoe.
Yeah.
Um, and he's been right there going into last week. He was actually ahead of both of those guys. Um, they got to score some more stage points if they want to be effective, because they're actually finishing decent. 5 top tens on the year. And really, when they finish outside the top 10, it seems like they're just out of it. Just need a little more speed early. They got to qualify better. They've not qualified great this year. Let's see what his average starting position is. I bet it's bad. Average start, yeah, 15.1. Not great there for Chase. Look, when we come to a super speedway, we still got to run at Daytona.
Mm-hmm.
Anything can happen, right?
Stenhouse could win again.
Your boy Spinhouse. Obviously, Justin Haley has a win at Daytona in his career. All of his Xfinity Series wins came at super speedways. Austin Dillon has won the last race of the regular season to get himself in. Still got to go to Darlington, so Eric Jones, Mr. Darlington himself, could do it. But I think realistically, getting away from the super speedway, there is a road course left. Michael McDowell did win a road course last year. Showed a lot of speed yesterday.
And he showed a lot of speed all season long too. Like,
Yeah.
surprises me that
So
he's 20th and over. What's he at? Like,
it doesn't feel like he should be. Four
yeah.
DNFs is a big reason.
Mm.
Um, yeah. So honestly, and long story short, Briscoe could point his way in if we don't have any new winners other than guys who are just way above the cut line.
Yeah.
And then if anybody I think is going to win other than at Daytona, I'm going to go McDowell.
Okay. And then who, looking at it right now, I mean, I know it's kind of hard to tell. So I'll just say who right now would be your final four.
The problem is the playoffs, especially that round of 12, is so wonky.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, Larson, Denny. Now that wins seem so much, and I'm going to cop out here, go Larson, Denny, Byron, but they've got the most wins.
Yeah.
Byron's hitting his normal midseason slump, and he'll pick it back up for the playoffs. And then I think Reddick. Reddick to me has been very consistent.
I like that pick.
A lot of top tens, a lot of top fives.
Mm-hmm. And your top four are my top four because you are correct. Reddick he's been sneaky, and if you look at it, he does have the most top tens on this list, with 10. So very consistent, and I think come playoffs, consistency will be key for him. So who knows? Maybe 23XI. They get that new building. Maybe they get to put a NASCAR Cup Series championship trophy in there.
But you just said that you were still hauling in on Buescher win the championship, and now you just said he's not your top
Look,
four.
Nobody said that I was consistent. I'm not Tyler Reddick. I mean, God, see now you put me in a pickle and you put me on the spot calling me out on my bullshit. So with that being said, with Larson, Hamlin, Byron, and Reddick, who I claim is going to be my top four, where do I have Chris Buescher in?
Based off the last few weeks, you got to drop Byron out.
Yeah, but I don't see that
Recency
happening.
bias. Now, I mean, like I said, he always slumps this part of the year. So I'm not worried as a Byron fan, but I think just recency bias if you say right now.
Yeah, I guess that's part of it too. Because like I said, the reason that I did pick Buescher at the beginning of the year is because last season, in this last stretch, he hit his stride, and then put himself in a position to compete in the playoffs, and so, and we know there is a bit of a luck aspect to some of these races. Like you said, it's wonky, and so I don't know. To answer your question, I don't know how Buescher gets there. It'll probably be a weird way in, but if he does get there, I mean, he'll compete, and I think he can win it all. I think they just need to RFK. They just need to hit their stride. So, appreciate you calling me out on my inconsistency there, Philip. But
sorry,
but no, it's needed. It's needed. But then I mean, also like, Brad's in there because of a win, but I don't
Brad's also 7th in points.
Yeah. So
with that, just straight up. My thing with Buescher, with the new format, could he win it? Sure. Do I think Phoenix could be a good race for him? Sure. Do I think just God-given talent-wise, like with the old Winston Cup format, is he good enough to win a championship? I've always liked Chris Buescher. I've always said, he's a guy who can consistently compete for a win or two a year. Obviously, he's finally in equipment that's good enough to let him prevail with that. But, I mean, when you look at guys like Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, I mean, I just think they're miles ahead of him in God-given talent. It's hard for me to pick Buescher to win championship, but
I'm probably
stranger
just
things
being
have happened.
Optimistic. They have. I'm probably just being optimistic. So I'm just holding on to that take because if I'm right, I'm gonna look like a genius at the end of this season.
You are. I mean, Trent Dilford didn't quarterback a team to a Super Bowl, so there's that.
Stranger things have happened. So, but all right, well, that's a little bit of playoff talk for you. 10 more weeks left before we get our first playoff race. Where is that at? Goes to show how much I pay attention.
I don't. Well, normally it's Darlington. I don't even
Yeah,
know
I
what they
know.
did
That's why
this
it's
year. I
got
think
me
it's
fucked
Atlanta.
up.
I think it opens in
Oh
Atlanta.
yeah, the round of 16 is Atlanta, Watkins Glen, and Bristol, followed by the round of 12 at Kansas, Talladega, and Charlotte, Roval. Round of 8 is Vegas, Homestead, and Martinsville, and of course the championship is back in Phoenix this year. So, all right, so let's get into a little bit of Sonoma. I could kind of go through a play-by-play, but like Philip said, it was a racy race. There for a little bit, it seemed like it was just a bit of a parade because it seemed like at every restart we were wrecking, and so we would just get back to caution laps, wreck again, back to caution laps. I felt like we did that a lot during I think it was the second stage, possibly. Um, but to start off the race, Denny Hamlin, before his day even really got started, he blew his engine on lap 3. I'm not really sure what exactly happened there. I didn't pay that close attention to it, but Denny Hamlin got taken out. And then, of course, on lap 16, Ty Gibbs smooched the wall, which also took him out of the race. I'm not sure if you saw his tire, but it was like, zoom, it was like tucked up under his wheel well. So his day was done. And then lap 19, right after the restart, again, like it was just like boom, ba boom, ba boom, restart, crash, restart, crash. Chase Briscoe took a nice spin. Stenhouse overcorrected and spun out, but was all right. Joey Logano took a few hits as well. Was Logano taken out of the race? I didn't even pay attention, dude.
No, he actually called his way back up. They just never quite had the speed that they had before.
Yeah.
I mean, he finished top 20.
And then, so Tyler Reddick goes on to show his skills at road courses. Win stage 1. How now? I know Reddick didn't win the race, but how many road courses has he won? Because he's won more than one, hasn't he?
He's won 3 in the next gen car.
Yeah,
I think those are his only 3.
yeah. So I mean, we know he
He
could.
may have no, because I think Larson was the only guy with exactly 4 wins out of active road course drivers, and obviously now he's at 5. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and so Reddick once again shows the skill at a road course, and then during stage 2, Josh Berry caused a pretty damn sizable pile up on lap number 35, and Cindric, Gregson, and McDowell would wreck after that restart, and Chris Buescher would go on and win stage 2 again. Um, Not again, but Chris Buescher would go on and win stage 2, and then coming kind of towards the end a little bit, Kyle Larson would take the lead as Buescher and Truex fought for first place. Larson would go on to win, and Truex would inch his way to the finish. And that is your very quick 1.5 minute recap of Sonoma. But Philip, what stood out to you about this race?
well, early, obviously. The elephant in the room was the caution, so we don't really get that on road courses now. And what it did is it really tied the hands of the crew chiefs. These crew chiefs were not expecting there to be that many cautions, and we still saw 2 different strategies down the stretch. But I think originally those guys like like Cliff Daniels in that group that had been with Kyle Larson, they thought when they pitted for their first pit, which was damn near the end of stage 2, which was way past the fuel window, but there was just so many cautions. They believed that they were going to take 4 tires and fuel and then later come down and just top off for gas, and that's how they were going to keep track position. Well, they've realized that that was not going to keep them in the lead. They were going to have to take tires. So I think the fact that we really had to see a lot of not only math but quick math,
Mm-hmm.
math that had to change from the crew chiefs in this race really played into the crew chief's hand. I mean, like I said, I think it was the best race of the year. Atlanta was the most entertaining race of the year. If you had to go back and watch one, you would definitely watch Atlanta. I mean, that race is not going to be touched this year. But would you just look at true race, different strategy, uh, equipment prevailing, guys having engine failures, guys spinning out? It had everything that a true, really good race has, and it had some late lap battling going on. Not in a super speedway form, but in a true form, despite a really long green flag run of 51 laps to end the race. So, what stood out to me, just everything. I mean, it was like I said, just a pure race. I walked into, I had to actually go into peek my head into the sales meeting today and ask a legit work question, and one of our sales guys turned around and said, "Damn, that was one of the best races I've seen in a long time. I'm sure you're watching it, Pilk." And I'm like, "Yes, sir, I was watching it." So yeah, I think everybody can kind of agree this was a phenomenal one, and it's what you hope to get on road courses.
And for a track to be out in California, it kind of they put on a great event, and I mean, for them to take away Auto Club, which I know is a different market, but for it to still be a California market, to say the nonetheless, um, it's a great event all around. I love the just the personification that they put onto that track. Love the lore of it, the draw of it, the wine country. Of course, who was it? I think it was the Truck Series. Whoever won the Truck Series was too young to drink, so they gave him like some kind of cider or something like that. And so, like, I understand as a NASCAR purist, some may not enjoy the road courses, but I think as far as putting on an event and having good racing, I think Sonoma does a fantastic job at it, and I was entertained, the whole time. Like you said, it was entertaining. It was racy to those of us that pay attention to that kind of stuff. And I mean, you're right. It had a little bit of everything, and so I'm just beating a dead horse at this point. But yeah, Sonoma, I could potentially put up there as one of my favorite tracks that we go to. Coda's already one of my top ones, but I could definitely see Sonoma becoming one of those.
I don't think what you were doing was beating a dead horse. I think it was re-sparkling a pretty racehorse because it was good things we were saying. Beating a dead horse
Yeah,
is bad things.
I suppose.
No, I personally like it better than Coda. Like I said, Coda for me, 7 wide into turn one just causes
Mm-hmm.
too much chaos and randomness. I mean, I think it's a good track, but I love the uphill twists and turns of a restart. I
Yeah.
think it's got the best restart of any and start of the race of any of our road courses because there's not really a preferred line. There kind of is, but when you're going to be inside on turn one, that means you're outside on turn two and back inside on turn three, and it's just those S's to start out right after the start finish line. To me, there's no place like it. No matter where we go, whether even looking at old tracks on the schedule like Road America, it's a long straightaway. Mid Ohio, which I know that we haven't ran in the Cup Series, it's a pretty quick turn one, but then again, yet a very long straightaway followed by a U-turn and another long straightaway. So obviously a hard right turn, 90 degrees at Watkins Glen. So we had the same thing at the Indy Road Course when we ran there, and then the Rovals with Daytona and Charlotte, obviously their own thing. So kind of hard to compare those, but yeah, to me, I think it's the best road course we go to.
Yeah. And so, would it be safe for me to put this one down as a nomination for best race of the year?
I think so because I
Okay.
mean, like nothing's probably going to pass Atlanta, but we might as well
Yeah.
because it's got to have
To
something else
us
to
that
do. Like I said,
actually watch
it
the
was
sport.
yeah, it was the best pure race of the year.
Yeah.
It really was. It was not the most entertaining. It was the most pure.
Absolutely. Well, I'll put that down on the list, and at the end of this season, we'll go through that, and we'll figure out what you guys think. So, with that said, we will segue our way into tipping your cap and shaking your head. So, Philip, who are you tipping your cap to? And actually, you know what? I want to tip my cap first because I have
All
a
right.
feeling with you dipping down to some of the lower series, I have a feeling you might steal mine if I'm not careful. So with that being said, I'm going to tip my cap to SVG for winning twice in a row. It's something that's not very easily done, but hey, whenever you get an Olsey put behind the wheel in the car, put them onto road courses back to back wins. Believe you can go by the diecast. Gotta tip my cap to that old bloke. There's my very.
That's pretty damn good. That was good.
Well, I'm glad you think so. I was about to say, there's my
But
poor attempt at trying to be Australian.
he's from New Zealand.
New
But
Zealand, potato.
um, so I was actually just because I tipped my cap to him last week. I did have a different one. Um, Got to give it to the man on the top of the 5 pit box. Going to tip my cap to Cliff Daniels. Made the right strategy call. Maybe it was the hardest strategy race in NASCAR history to call for crew chiefs, and he made the right call. And his guy got to drink wine in Sonoma, so I'm going to go to Cliff Daniels.
I've always wondered what that wine tastes like. Do you know if there's a way that we can get a replica of whatever wine it is that they drink down there in Victory Lane?
I have no
I'll
idea.
look that up.
I'm sure you can Google it and to what I'm sure it's I mean, it's probably a nicer red, but it's probably nothing because they're drinking it so fast and half of them spit most of it out. I'm
I
sure
know
it's
this.
nothing
I know
too
this has
crazy.
absolutely nothing to do with sports, but I had red wine paired with steak for the first time in my life a few months ago. Changed my life. I don't think I'll ever eat a steak again without some red wine. Like if you haven't tried it
There you go.
before, get yourself a good red wine.
It's
Just
good.
ask them what the recommendation is. Get yourself a medium rare, just freaking ribeye or whatever it is that you like, and just go to freaking town. Anyways, back to our regularly
It's
scheduled program.
red wine. I not that I won't just drink red wine. I will. But when you pair red wine with certain foods, it's the only drink I've ever had that like certain foods it truthfully pairs with. I mean, I know some people would say beer and like chicken wings. I mean, yeah, but when you talk about like if you're eating like cheese and crackers, like the charcuterie board, the stereotypical wine and
The
cheese
what
is
board?
good. The charcuterie board.
Okay,
You know what a charcuterie board
they
is?
must have cut the mic must have cut out or something because I heard like board. Like I was like, what
No,
the hell are you? So
nah.
sorry. Anyways,
And
I
then
digress.
but yeah, steak. I love it with pasta. Anyways, that sounds like a podcast for another day. But you're right with the red wine and steak. I'm with you there. Who are you shaking your head at, Dawson?
Who am I shaking my head at? I mean, it's kind of hard to say, but I'm gonna go with an easy answer here and say Josh Berry for costing that big ass pile up. I mean, I love a good pile up on road courses just because I love the banter that goes on Twitter. And on social media, just like, oh, this is why NASCAR drivers don't turn right because this shit happens and yada yada. So, shaking my head to Josh Berry for all the bad publicity, but hey, any publicity is good publicity. Unfortunately, you drive for a team that's shutting down at the end of this year, so what's it really fucking matter? So, that's
There you go.
that's who I'm shaking my head to this week.
Well, you thought I was going to drop down lower series for tipping my cap, but I will, and I didn't, but I will for shaking my head. So, um, I'm going to do it to Haley Deegan's team. You got back-to-back weeks where in stage one you're on pit road in a road course with the hood up. No power this week. Don't really remember what the issue was last week. Um, look, you're an underfunded team. You don't run great at the mile and a halfs. When it's the driver talent driven tracks, you got to show up with good equipment. And having her on pit road back to back weeks, like I said, early in the race with the hood up. If it had just been 1 week, I wouldn't be doing it. But yeah, 2 weeks, same roughly issues. Come on, guys, got to do better than that.
Yeah, and of course, I did not look at some of the lower series. I'm sorry, I'm looking at. I'm trying to find some freaking red wine, but I can't find anything on it. But yeah, I haven't watched the lower series, so if that's your shaking your head, then we'll rock and roll with it. So
Alrighty.
we'll lead into our Iowa preview. And Philip, what you got for the entry list this week?
The Xfinity Series, 38 entries for 38 spots, so no one will go home. Daniel Dye will be in the 10. I see Moffitt in the 13. Let me look at it. It's Brett. Okay, just making sure it wasn't Thad. Didn't think it was, but Brett Moffitt in the 19. John Hunter is in the 20. Corey Heim in the 26, and driving the 92 car will be Mr. Watermelon Man himself, Ross Chastain. 37 entries on the Cup entry list. Kaz Grala is expected in the 15. Dinger will be in the 16. And David Starr in the 66 for Power Source, which is Carl Long's team. I got to look. When is the last time? Oh, never mind. That's the Carl Long Timmy Hill team. So that is, never mind. I was going to say, when's the last time they had a Cup Series entry? But I think it was the Daytona 500. So David Starr making his return to the Cup Series. I got to look up when he ran his last Cup Series race. It has been a while, that is for sure. The 56-year-old has not ran a Cup Series race since, he ran one in Martinsville this year. I did not remember that. But, yeah, he will be making his 19th Cup Series start.
Nice. Sorry, I'm still trying to look for this damn wine. I can't find nothing on it. But all right. So going into my little preview, of course, everyone knows that I like to look at my average finishing position and make all of my judgments off of that, kind of who performs well here and who doesn't. But obviously, the Cup Series has not been here before, so there is nothing to preview. They haven't raced here at Iowa Speedway yet. The Truck Series and the Xfinity Series have, so we're kind of entering into some uncharted territory here. Iowa is a 7/8 mile short track with 14-degree banking on the turns, and so there isn't really a track that we can necessarily use as a comparison. It's unique. It's something different. Of course, we do have our short track drivers that are pretty consistent at short tracks, but again, this is just something different. So be fun for the fans, be fun for the drivers. And as we all know, short tracks equals short tempers. And so expect there to be some bumping and bruising and rubbing around and some high tempers could be flaring here at Iowa. But as far as previews go, I don't really have anything for you. Philip can tell you better than I can who's good at a short track, and who do you expect to perform well this weekend? Mm-hmm. Mm. Hang on one second, Philip. I think we're running into some technical difficulties here. Can you refresh your browser? Sorry, guys, having some technical difficulties here over at the OK Listen Here roundtable. Not entirely sure. Just had a notification pop up on my screen and say, "Oh, oh."
Okay.
I
Yep.
don't know. I don't know
It
what that was.
restarted
I don't know what that
it
was about.
restarted our recording, so you'll probably have to bump the two of them up against each other
Yeah,
before you post it.
the clock is still running on my end, so
No, it's not
whatever.
on mine. So,
Did
alrighty.
it restart?
Anyways, yeah,
Okay, well, I'll figure it out in editing. So,
yeah. All
anyways,
right, as long as you have both of them, you can.
yeah.
But anyways, so yeah, like I said, it's 7/8 of a mile, but the 14 degrees of banking. You do have to brake, but not as heavy, especially going into turn one as you do at some of your other short tracks. So you can see some dive bombs. You definitely can, but not quite like quite like a Martinsville, a little bit more like a Richmond, but still a little more banked than that. So not quite as heavy of braking zones, but when you look at the lower series. Now, of course, in the Xfinity Series, you don't have as many outlying winners as it is, but your usual suspects win. So you go back to 2019, you had Chase Briscoe and Christopher Bell. 2018 was Bell and Allgaier. 17 was Preece and Byron. 16, Jones and Sam Hornish Jr. Other winners here include Ryan Blaney, Brad Kay, um, Chris Buescher, Trevor Bayne, Elliott Sadler. So a lot of big time names. Obviously, we're talking about champions in the sport win here, but this Cup car and short tracks has been a little weird, not been very entertaining. It was decently entertaining at where did we go recently? Oh, at North Wilkesboro. Other than really the lead, but other else in the pack, it was racy. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out with new track that we've never been to in the Cup Series. So we'll see, but that's all you got for you. I would expect your normal players up there. Monday Martin's going to be good. Um, some of your other short track guys, Denny will probably be good. So obviously you mentioned Byron's one here before. He's had some success on short track. So your championship contenders should be the favorites, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that. You pretty much covered all the bases that I would have hit if I was that knowledgeable of it. So let's go into some backstretch challenge. And so Philip, telling you what, I'm not quite ready to throw in the white flag, but I'm getting to that spot because after this last week, you are now 10-6-1 against me. And this week you did pick our winner. Philip, you won this week. If anyone remembers, I believe it was last week, we said that if you select the winner, we subtract 0.5 from your average. Philip, you had an average finishing position of 10.25. With the win, it is at 9.75, and I had 14.25. Like I said, Philip, that puts you up at 10-6-1. But we still have 10 races left, so let's see. At what point in the season will it be official that I have? Oh
Well,
well,
no, we
we
got
also we
16
also
right.
have playoffs. We also
We
have
got 20
playoffs.
races left.
Yeah,
So
so we'll
right.
cross that bridge when we get to it. But Phil, you get to who do you want to keep this week?
This is tough. I'm gonna take
You can do it.
Larson and Byron.
Larson and Byron. All right, and I'm gonna stick with Hamlin and Christopher Bell. I'm gonna have Seabell in my starting lineup this week. How about that?
All right. Do you want to go first, or do you want to go back to back?
You know, last week I don't remember what I did, so you go first.
I'm gonna take Truex. He's good at Dover. He's good at Richmond. I'll take Truex.
All right. And if you're going to take Truex, give me Chase Elliott. That's who I want. And give me Tyler Reddick.
Well, when we go to places that we've never been, whether it be the Clash, the Coliseum, or there was some other new track or a new pavement that he won on. It seems like anytime we go somewhere new, Joey Logano kind of seems to be the guy to beat. So give me Joey.
Okay, I like that pick. And who you got in your garage?
Ooh, it's all about it.
It's a hard one.
Yeah, you got all the Toyota guys who are good, except for Truex. Give me Blaney.
Blaney.
Just so you can't have
like
him.
That. All right, Blaney. And then for me, you know what? He's going to win one this year, so give me Gibbs. I'll take Gibbs. I'll do it. All right, so to recap, Philip has Larson, Byron, Truex, Joey, and Blaney. I have Hamlin, Bell, Elliott, Reddick, and Gibbs. Wow. It's actually probably the most stacked lineup I've had all season. So if I lose this week, I'm going to be quite upset. But all right, let's wrap up this podcast, Big Phil. We'll get into some trivia, which you and I both have admitted that we did not prepare for in the slightest. But I have here my college football cheat sheet on the year. And so I'll pull some questions out of there, see what you know. But, Philip, what question do you have for me first?
All right, with the Stanley Cup playoffs going on, or the Stanley Cup Finals?
I know nothing about hockey, bro.
What team has won the most Stanley Cup Finals?
I feel like you're setting me up here to say the Boston Bruins. So Incorrect. It's not the Rangers. I know that. Watch it be the Rangers. It's not the Rangers. I'm trying to think of all the teams up north.
I'll give you a hint. It's north. It's north, all right.
Okay.
As in
so
north of the border.
Canada. I'm trying to think of all the teams. So you have the Toronto Maple Leafs, Calgary Flames, Edmonton Oilers. I know it's not Edmonton. Oh, God. Vancouver. What's Vancouver's team name?
The Canucks.
The Canucks. It's not them. Am I missing a Canadian team? I feel like I'm missing a Canadian team.
You're missing 3 Canadian teams. You need to go a little farther east than some of the ones you've been naming for this.
Holy shit.
You've been naming all the out west teams. You got to remember, hockey started in the 20s, and very much like baseball and football, the teams were, Midwest, Northeast.
Can I cheat and pull up a team list? Can I cheat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure,
yeah. Give me some help here. I promise I'm not looking up. Oh, who has the most NHL Stanley Cups? I'm just looking at. All right. This is not Toronto. It's not Ottawa. It's not Montreal. So it's got to be the third one, whoever that is. So hang on, let me find it. It can't be Winnipeg.
Not Winnipeg.
Oh, fuck, Phil.
I give you a hint. At some point, you've named every Canadian team.
Oh, I know.
You said the right answer.
Is it Montreal?
It is Montreal.
Huh. And they finished fucking last in the Atlantic Division this year? Wow, that's sad. When's the last time they won one?
93.
93. All right.
I think.
Let's see. What can I find here?
I might be a year or two off with that, but roughly then.
Gotcha. All right. Philip, how good is your college football knowledge?
Not great.
Not
Especially
great.
I know history. I know teams, Heisman Trophy winner. If you ask me what team won this or Heisman Trophy winners, I'd be okay. But don't ask me who's going to start for.
Well, my question was going to be very Iowa centric, and I was just going to ask you who is the head coach of the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Oh, considering you never said football specifically.
Football.
Football, damn it. I was going to say McCaffrey is the head coach of the basketball team. I cannot remember who the coach is of the football team.
Okay, it is.
I should know that. Head coach is something I should know. That's bad.
All right, I'm gonna try to pronounce this last name, but it's Kirk Ferentz with a 196 and 119 record over 25 years. Wow, he's been with one school for 25 years. So I hope that my dynasty in college football 25 is 25 years long with one team. That'd be sick. All right. Well, you couldn't answer that one. Sorry, I know my questions are lousy, but Philip, what's your next question for me?
Oh crap! I got to come up with one, don't I?
I know. I'm about to.
This is tough.
Yeah.
This is really tough.
What do we call it?
I got all the basic NASCAR ones, like I said, out of you at the beginning of the season. So, what team has made the most trips to Omaha to the College World Series?
Oh, damn. I was going to be a smart ass if you had just left it at what team has made the most trips to Omaha. I was just going to say, oh, Nebraska.
Like Creighton.
Jeez. Is it an SEC team?
No.
No. Not an SEC team.
Yeah, actually, the first SEC team is LSU, who is tied for.
See, because if you had said yes, I was going to guess
seventh.
I was going to guess LSU.
They're tied for 7th at 19 appearances. They're the first SEC team.
Is it a traditional P5 school? I mean, I know the Pac-12 is okay.
Yeah, it's not like Dallas Baptist or Wichita
State
or Rice or any of those weird teams.
Okay. It's not an ACC team. Can I at least rule that one out?
It's not an ACC team.
I want to say it's a former. Notice the former. Their former Pac-12 team.
They have never been in the Pac-12.
Never been in the Pac-12. Okay, so it's either a Big 10 or a Big 12 team. I'm gonna go with a Big. If it's Oklahoma,
think of the geography of those conferences, and you should be able to whittle it down considering baseball is played in some cold months outside.
Okay. If it's Oklahoma, I'm going to be pissed because I'm a new Oklahoma fan, so bear with me there. Fuck, who had a good... Is it Oklahoma State? Don't make me say Oklahoma State.
They are up there. They are very high on the list, but they are incorrect.
All right, give me one
they
more.
They are 6th with 20.
Final answer, Texas.
Hook 'em horns. It is Texas.
Jesus Christ. Get that shit out of your mouth. I should quit the podcast
Hey, trust me. When they made it 2 years ago, ECU had them beat in Game 2, and then they came back to win, and then didn't only beat ECU in Game 3. They took a huge lead prior to a 6-hour rain delay that I had to stay through, and then got in my car at 2:58 in the morning. God. So, trust me, it has been at my expense.
All right. So you said that if I asked you about some Heisman questions, you'd probably know the answer to them. So
maybe.
So this one might be a little bit of a wiffle ball for you. But who is the only player that has received the Heisman Trophy twice? Bonus points if you can tell me what university he went to and what years he earned the Heisman.
That is a wiffle ball that I cannot remember, and that's bad.
Do you need a hint? Can you at least name the school that he came from?
No, I'm totally blanking. Oh, like I said before the podcast, I am not in football mode at all. I won't even look at football till at least August. And with the Olympics going on this year, probably after that, like full on college baseball, NBA, MLB mode.
Do you want me to give you an answer?
Give me a decade.
70s.
Was it what Montana? Was it?
No.
Heisman never won the Heisman. So I know it wasn't him. Is it a quarterback?
I don't know.
Just look at his name.
Hang on. Give me a second, Philip. He was a running back. Played for the Cincinnati Bengals for 7 seasons.
It ain't Icky. Bengals running back. I don't know.
He played for Ohio State. 74 and
Silly to be Eddie
75.
George. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Answer is Archie Griffin.
Yeah, I should have known that.
Well, we stumped you.
You did.
All right. Hit me with my third and final question of the night.
Come on, I'm trying to think of something NASCAR related, but there's nothing going on with Iowa.
Who did Ricky Stenhouse drive for before JTG Doherty Racing?
Who did Ricky Stenhouse Jr. get traded for when he drove for this previous team?
Huh.
One of the few trades in NASCAR history.
No, now here you go. Here's a good question. Oh, and I know it too. It wasn't AJ Allmendinger, was it?
No, it's not.
No. Damn. Fuck, who came before Ricky? Oh, shit, because he must have not been there for a long time. He's probably there for like a season, wasn't he?
Let me look up how long
JTG. I would look up.
He was there for 3 years.
3 years? Oh, it's some weird name, isn't it? It's a name that isn't like a household. No? Fuck.
You literally picked him to win the championship this year. That is your hint.
Oh, is it Busher?
It is Chris Buescher.
Really?
They were traded for each other.
Huh. Wow.
I just went ahead and had to give it because you were so going off way deep ends.
I can't remember that. I don't remember seeing that on anything, on literally anything.
Yeah, that was a straight driver swap between 19 and 20. They traded drivers.
Wow. All right. We'll stick with hockey here since it's relevant at the moment.
Yeah.
So, what hockey team finished last in points this season, and how many points did they have?
Who's last in the standings this year?
Yeah, overall.
I do not think that Chicago did it back-to-back.
Chicago was second to last. This team won.
It might have been Montreal.
Was not Montreal. They were fifth to last.
Okay. Yeah, you said Montreal's worse than the Atlantic. I don't think it was anybody in the Met.
Hang on, I gotta move around. No, it was not anyone in the Met.
So it's a Western Conference team.
Getting warmer.
Yeah. It's one of the Californian teams.
You're even hotter.
It was Anaheim.
It was not Anaheim.
That was San Jose?
It was San Jose.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because they didn't win a game for the first 25 games or some crazy crap.
Yep, they won 1. They won 19 games this season, lost 54, and had 9 overtime losses.
Well, since you told me to guess how many points they have, I'm going to say 47.
Hey, there you go. Good job, Phil. All right. There's our very long, drawn-out trivia segment of this podcast.
Yeah, it was a bad trivia.
It was terrible. We apologize. If you were still listening to this point, you are a champ. You truly are, but we appreciate
or an idiot.
Yeah, well, probably the latter. But if you're still hanging around here and listening to us to just goof off and talk slowly about NASCAR, we appreciate you guys for sticking around. This has been episode number 27 of the Okay Listen Here Roundtable. We may or may not be recording the all sports podcast this week. Got some things going on, but we'll see. It might be up there, but we will for sure be back here next Monday to record for you guys. So with that, everyone take it easy. Oh, what you got to say, Philip?
Oh, I was gonna say, everybody, I won't see you next week. So everybody have a good 2 weeks.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
be in Cabo.
We might be off next week. You know what? Philip, do we take a break next week? I think we take a break next week.
It's up to you. You and Mason can work it out.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll work it out. We might take a break. I'll announce it on Twitter or something like that. But anyways, we appreciate you guys for sticking around this long, listening to us two goof off for the last hour. But we appreciate it. You guys have a great rest of your week.